Prime time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Next week is Fair Week here in Lloydminster. Staff down at the Lloydex are working around the clock ahead of a busy week of fun.
Jackie Tolmeyer is the Lloydminster Agricultural Exhibition Association General Manager, and she joins me here to talk about the Lloydex Fair taking place next week, a very busy time as things are getting prepared. So, Jackie, how are preparations going for this year's fair?
Yes, we are very excited. Fair is 1 week away. By this time next week, the parade will be done. The fair rides will be whirling around. We'll be introducing, the community to our new layout. And ground preparations are going really, really well. My crew is working really hard. Every department is just rocking and rolling.
Now, we spoke last time, it was a little while out from the fair, but about that new layout. So I'll give you a chance now again to kind of highlight that exciting news.
Yeah, so now there's two big parking lots to the south, so lots and lots of parking that'll be right close to the grounds. The new ride layout is going to be on the front asphalt, like the parking lot side of the exhibition here, and it's going to kind of surround our building, Kittyland, where all the kids' rides will still be between the grandstand and the buildings, but then a lot of the majority of the big rides will be out front and down the side of the Nissan Hall. So we are excited to see our midway provider was here a few months ago and kind of laid it out, and it's going to fit and it's going to work. And he's really excited about the new layout as are we.
Some big change there. That's very exciting. And times are changing. That's the theme of the parade this year. It's taking place on July 12th. Route's going to be a little different just because of construction. So that's going to be a little new as well. Are people still able to enter, submit parade entries?
Yeah, you bet. Get those parade entries into us. I think we're over the 70 float mark. So it's going to be a really big parade. I think that I know last year was our first fair, back, our regular fair, but I think this one almost feels like the real fair's back. Like there's a lot of excitement and there's a lot of parade entries from the community, which is great to see.
And we love to see the community come out all over the streets and enjoy just taking part in that. Hopefully we have some good weather on
Yeah.
that day. Egg shows too, are people still kind of able to enter for that? How is that going?
Yeah, there's still time to enter the egg shows, the Create It show. So, the homemade crafts and art and baking that closes today. But if people still have entries, just get them into us as soon as possible. But yes, we still have lots of entries. Running of the Bulls entries. We're going to take up to 75 runners this year. So the chance at that $1,500 cash that anyone could use that, and we're really looking forward to that show. We've expanded that show a little bit to do some wild pony races and some calf scramble. So yeah, we can just look forward to a great Saturday in the grandstand Saturday afternoon.
And there's just so much going on. I know that there's been pre-sale tickets going on sale through the mall. I think that goes until the 11th, so people are still able to go and get those tickets, hey?
Yeah, you bet. So yeah, admission price is a little bit lower, and then the ride all day armbands are a little bit lower than at the fair time when you come. So yeah, definitely take advantage of that pre-sale purchasing up until next Tuesday.
And it just you're saving time, you're saving money, but you're also saving time. You don't have to worry about getting paying for that when you get to the fair. You just get to go and enjoy everything that you're planning on doing.
Yeah, and we got some great concerts lined up. We have a great Filipino singer actress coming, Rachel Alejandro, next Thursday night, and then of course the big one, the Tom Cochran concert that we are so excited about.
And are tickets still on sale for that as well?
Yep, you bet. They are. It is limited seating, right? So, because it's an indoor show this year, but we're not going to be impacted by the weather. But if you want your tickets, I would suggest hopping online or coming down to the X here to grab them because, they are filling up. I have to send a report every week, and every week we're getting higher and higher to that sellout point. So
there you go. Exciting news right there. I know a job fair also took place a while back, but are you still looking for people to help out and fill some roles for the fair, or is that looking okay?
Yeah, we do have some parking spots available. I believe we still have some opportunities in the kitchens and the concessions if people are wanting to, get that first job or just get a little bit of summer spending money. We do have some positions open, so come down and see us.
Awesome. Well, Jackie, thanks so much for talking with me today. It felt like we are doing kind of some rapid fire questions here, but there's a lot for us to talk about and want to make sure we get some of that info out to the community because next week's going to be a party and very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, and if anyone has any questions, just call in or email the office here or stop in before next Wednesday and we'll answer all your questions. We really want to make this Lloydminster's fair and make sure everyone has a really great experience.
And as we move on to sports now, some familiar faces are returning to the coaching staff for the Lloydminster Bobcats. Let's toss it over to Callan Dunlop with more.
Hi, I'm Callan Dunlop with Primetime Local News, and today I'm joined by Jeff Woywitka, who is returning as the associate head coach for the Lloydminster Bobcats. And to start, Jeff, can you just talk about how you're feeling about returning to the team?
Well, obviously, I'm really excited. I have a little bit of experience there with them last year. Joining them just after Christmas, and got to get my feet wet there and get familiar with some of the bodies that are there. We have a few new faces coming in, but Nigel was really good to work with, and obviously he believes in me, and then obviously with Brad coming in too. So obviously I'm excited to get going with both. Well, with all three of those guys, and then the rest of the organization, and then the team. So it's going to be of a new look team, and a few new things and a few new tweaks. But obviously, we want to make sure that we're doing the right things on and off the ice. And Lloydminster is a really good hockey town with a lot of good people who want results, and we want to be the ones that provide them with that.
You guys last season really turned a corner in the second half of the season when you joined the coaching staff. Can you talk a little bit about what transpired during that second half?
I just kind of believe in myself and what I do, and I like to build a connection with the players, and really when they come to the rink, have fun and want to get better and want to learn, and provide them with the right things, the right teaching things, and then it makes them hungry for the game. The players got to want to come to the rink, and they want to have, when they come to the rink, they have to know that they're getting better, but they also got to put in the work. So I just, Nigel was really good to me, and he let me have, some say there as far as what needed to do this. And I'm a big believer in obviously the skill side of it, the development side of it, and obviously, whatever players you're dealt with to make them better. And with that comes better results for your team. And, whoever you got, I still believe that, you got to get the most out of that player. And that's what we're trying to do there.
What are the key things that you guys are working on this off season?
Well, I think right now we're in a little bit of a thing where, Nigel was just in the process of naming the coaches and the head coach, and then obviously bringing myself back, getting those details finalized. And now we're all going to kind of come together here in the next couple weeks. And it's obviously a quick turnaround for us as far as, roles and where we're positioned, what it's going to look like, building a schedule, all that kind of stuff. We have some outlines already, what we're going to be kind of triggering and what we want to do. But I think, we're talking to Brad, and then obviously we'll sit down with Nigel and we'll put a plan in place and a schedule, and we'll do what's best for, the team moving forward.
I'd like to pick your brain on Brad coming in as head coach and sort of your thoughts on where the direction of the team is headed.
Well, I had a chance to talk to Brad just the other day on the phone, and Brad seems like a person who's really enthused, and just the people you talk to, and the people, once he signed with the Bobcats, just the support he's been getting as far as the person he is on and off the ice, and the work he puts in. And I think he's really, really, really driven as far as, wanting to, take the next step and to, take the Bobcats to the next level too. And we're all going to be a big part of that as far as, working together. But he seems like a well-driven guy who loves the skill side of it, plus the details, and he's a hardworking guy from what I understand and from what I've heard from him.
Were there any last things that you'd like to add?
Well, I just want to say, thanks to the city of Lloydminster for believing in us, and obviously Nigel doing the work to get us done. And I'm looking forward to the season, and I'm we want to pick up where we left off last year. Obviously, you still get beat out in the first round, and there's steps, but obviously there's bigger goals, bigger rewards to achieve, and players gotta, our goal is to move players on to the next level, and that's the NCAA route. So when we start doing that, we'll know that we're doing our job. So we'll continue to work and keep getting better.
All right, that covers everything. Thank you so much for taking the time, Jeff.
Have a good week, and we'll talk to you later.
And now it's time for us to check in with Shelby Clark for an extended look at your evening weather forecast.
Thanks so much again there, Mr. Jace Mackey. Yes, now taking an extended look at your weather forecast. We'll be starting off with our central zone of the provinces. On our Alberta side, we are starting to warm up and move back into those mid-20 temperatures. We were starting off slightly cooler starting off this week, but now we are starting to warm it back up and slowly moving into those scorchers, so be prepared. 25 degrees seems to be looking at the warmest condition in some of these spots on the Alberta side, with Edmonton and over in Edson, we are looking at 24 in most spots on our Alberta side, and then we start to slightly cool down with 23 in Rocky Mountain House and 21 now in Jasper. So for the most part, we all are seeing past that 20-degree mark and seeing a mixture of some sun and cloud in most of these areas as well. Going over to our Saskatchewan side, they are looking slightly cooler compared to our Alberta side. They are still getting closer to those mid-20s, but for the most part, they're just sitting around 21 to 22 degrees in most spots on our Saskatchewan side, so looking slightly cooler, but of course still seeing warm days for today. 23 seems to be looking at the warmest condition on this side with Meadow Lake and down in Saskatoon. And now as we go over to our northern zone, they are starting to warm it up as well, kind of matching with us in our central area. On our Saskatchewan side, they only are seeing 3 spots with sitting at that 19-degree mark, so they are getting closer and closer to that 20-degree mark in those spots, and then we start to warm it up from there. Uranium City is just at 22, while we have 23 down in Flon Flon, and both Alosh and Buffalo Narrows now just at 25, as they are seeing those mid-20 conditions. Going back over to Alberta side here in our northern zone to check them out, we are even almost reaching that 30-degree mark in some of these spots. So they have that heat warning in effect for now, as they are starting to see those scorchers as we're going on through the week. Looking at 27 there in Grand Prairie, while it's 29 up in High Level, just under that 30-degree mark. And then we are starting to see more areas that are just matching with us in our central zone. 24 and 25 with Peace River and Fort Chipewyan, and then we are seeing that 21 and 22 with Slave Lake and Fort McMurray. But now as we go over to our southern zone, they are matching with us a little bit more in our central area. 26 seems to be looking at the warmest condition on our Alberta side with Lethbridge and Medicine Hat. The rest are just sitting at 23 degrees. So we aren't seeing too many scorchers, but we are slowly moving into it as we are starting to see these conditions start to warm up more and more as we go on through the week and head into the weekend. And going over to our Saskatchewan side in our southern zone, they aren't seeing as warm temperatures as what we would expect. They are still kind of matching with what they have been seeing throughout the start of this week. They are just seeing 24. It looks at the warmest condition on the side. And then we have 23 in most spots. And then we have 21, 22 with Swift Current and Estevan. And Yorkton is still just sitting at that 20-degree mark as they have just reached it. But now as you look at some overnight evening lows on this list in our surrounding area, we will be looking at those double digits for the most part in most of these spots. Some are still expecting those single digits for tonight, as we aren't seeing too high of daytime highs just yet. But now we are starting to see those double digits slowly make their way back on this list especially. A low of 12 expected for most of these areas, and Provost and Paradise Hill will be expecting a low of 11. So we are expecting a warm night for most of these areas, and even a couple with a high chance of some showers later on in the evening and throughout the night in both Meadow Lake and Isle of Cross. So be prepared. We will be seeing a little bit of precipitation in some spots in our surrounding area. Looking at our hourly forecast for our Thursday here in the border city for tomorrow, we will warm up slightly for our daytime highs. We start off getting closer to that 20-degree mark right off in the morning, and even almost reaching 24, 25 degrees for our daytime high right in the mid-afternoon. And we won't be cooling down by too much once we go past that, because once we go into our Friday here, we will be looking at that kind of continue on with 24 for our daytime high. Not expecting too much sun on Friday, and then we will slowly move into those scorchers for our weekend, 25 and 27. So make sure you got your water ready, always staying hydrated and using that sunscreen. Can't put that away just yet, as we will be seeing some warm temperatures slowly move in as we head through July into August, and we will be seeing those scorchers kind of continue on into next week. That's all I have for now. RJ Smacky will have my news coming up after the break.
Today we are at Rolling Greens with Riley Fletcher, the Pro Shop manager here, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about the Kids Free Golf event that is taking place here at Rolling Greens, as well as across the province and country at golf courses across the country. So thank you so much for being with me today, Riley.
Thank you.
Riley, tell me a little bit about this event, and it started just this past Monday, and kind of what exactly it is for kids here at the Rolling Greens.
So the Kids Golf Free event is put on by the National Golf Course of Canada Association. It runs from July 3rd to the 9th. Any player under the age of 16 that's golfing with an adult is now free. It's to encourage kids getting out, and there's also a contest involved with it. If you take photos and tag NGCO and at Kids Golf Free, you're entered in to win a set of golf clubs from T-On.
Awesome, and you've mentioned that how long have you guys been part of this initiative?
This is my 4th summer here at Rolling Greens, and we've done it every summer. I do believe it's gone on longer than that. We offer something similar for all junior golfers under the age of 11. They golf free with their parents as well to encourage families and kids to come out. So it's something we continue on throughout the year, but this is a week-long event that the NGCAO puts on.
Awesome. And then for Rolling Greens, what other events are you guys going to be offering this summer for younger golfers that maybe want to try and learn more about the game and get into the game a little bit more?
For sure. We have summer camps coming up in 2 weeks' time. There's still open registration for that, where we go through the basics of golf and help kids learn. Geared towards those beginner golfers and getting them out. And then we also have our Factory Sports Excellence Junior Tournament in August, all available to sign up through on our website at rollinggreen.ca, and those would be the main events, but we're always welcoming of families and encouraging kids to come out and have some fun.
And then finally, Riley, some more Rolling Greens events that will be happening very soon here for golfers of all ages.
Yeah, so we have tons of events coming up. Ladies' Night next Wednesday on the 12th. Men's Night every Tuesday at 6 p.m. we have our Men's Night. Tournaments that we're hosting upcoming are Farm and Ranch on the 26th. That's our big charity tournament that we put on and give back to the community. And then from there, just many, many tournaments throughout the summer that if you have any questions or want to get in on tournaments, just call the Pro Shop.
Awesome, perfect. Thank you so much, Riley, for all the information about the golf. And for sure, if you're under the age of 16 or have kids under the age of 16 and want to get out and try the game of golf, be sure to come out to Rolling Greens Fairways for a free round of golf. That'll be from July 3rd all the way up until this Sunday.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
We're back this week with Stephanie Dobson. Stephanie is a lawyer and mediator at Hanka Divorce Law and Mediation here in Lloydminster. Back for another episode of Healthy Thriving Family After Divorce. And Stephanie, continuing our conversation from last week, we're talking about questions that you get or that are sent in by our viewers that really is surrounding the divorce and separation process, because it is never easy. So we'll get back into it this week and talking about basically a very hard question, I'm sure, to answer, but am I allowed to move away with my kids?
Well, as with most questions, I always have to start with, it's complicated, right? It, in every family law matter, of course, it's going to depend on the situation. But in this particular case, we're dealing with various pieces of legislation with answering any of these questions. So again, we're referring to legislation on divorce. So the Federal Divorce Act applies to married spouses who are seeking a divorce, and then the provincial legislation applies to unmarried spouses or married spouses not seeking a divorce. So if we look at the Federal Divorce Act and then the Saskatchewan Provincial Act, those are very similar. So they have specific wording in those legislation about changes of residence and relocation. So I just use sort of two phrases. So change of residence is one and relocation is the other. So change of residence is where you're moving maybe within the city, you're moving maybe a little ways away, but you're not really going to change the parenting plan or the parenting schedule very much. That's the kind of move that you don't really need to seek permission to move. You just need to give the other parent notice that you're moving, because they won't really affect the other parent and their parenting time as much. Now, the second one is relocation. So relocation is where there's going to be a substantial change to the parenting. So in that case, there's notice requirements, there's forms that need to be used, and it's really important that you do those right, because the judges are not very forgiving if you're not giving the right notice. So I'll just mention really quickly, the provincial legislation in Alberta doesn't actually have those particular relocation clauses in the legislation, but it's the court-made law that will define whether a move is going to be allowed.
Okay, and the next question, Stephanie, is what rights do I have to actually have time with my kids?
So I like to switch this question around and say, instead of as a parent, what right do I have to spend time with my kids? It's what right do my kids have to, what right do my kids have to spend time with me as a parent? So when parents tell me the other parent won't let them have time with the kids, it can be very problematic. At the core of it, for most separated parents, neither parent can dictate allowing time with the kids. Now, of course, this is most situations, and every situation is different, but typically this is something that needs to be negotiated. So I always tell parents that the sooner that you can get in to discuss and agree on the parenting schedule, the better, especially before any tug of war happens. So you remember last week we were talking about when to get in to see a professional. The earlier that you're thinking about separation, the better it to get in to see that professional, because that's the schedule of parenting is usually the very first thing that needs to be dealt with, because we're going from one home into two. How are we going to make sure that we both see the kids? But when I help families to discuss parenting schedules, we need to think of a number of different things like work schedules, kids schedules, holidays. Now, those are all important things, but at the end of the day, just before you separate, it's really important to come up with at least a tentative schedule to make sure you both see the kids.
Okay, and the last question for the week, Stephanie, is how long do I have to be separated before you can actually get a divorce?
So there's we'll first look at the legislation, then we'll look at the reality of the situation. So to be eligible for a divorce, so that's the capital D divorce, I am no longer going to be your legal spouse. You need to prove to the court that there's been what's called a breakdown of the relationship, and that's in the legislation. So you can show that in one of three ways. So first is living 1 year separated and apart. The second is adultery by the other spouse. And the third is mental or physical cruelty. So that goes to the family violence question. But the idea is that you can always start the divorce action in the courts and get some tentative temporary resolution. We were talking before about, do I need to go to court? Well, if you need a parenting schedule, you might need to go to court. So you can do that before you get to the year mark, but you can't actually get the capital D divorce until that 1 year mark, or the other two factors have passed. Now, I'll just finish by saying, typically in processes that I use, like mediation or collaborative divorce, usually issues take somewhere between 2 to 4 months to resolve. And then the rest of the time, the former couple is just sort of letting time pass and waiting for that year of separation to become eligible.
Okay, great information as always, Stephanie. Thank you so much for joining us this week, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
And that's all the time we have for this edition of Primetime Local News. Thank you all so much for joining us. Have a great night, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow.